Keywords only show a fraction of how people decide to buy. I'm gonna run you through how topical authority works today, so the next time that you have to do anything for your SEO, your keywords, you've got this simple process to follow. I lead a global agency of over 150 SEOs, and we've seen this shift happen in real time over the past 2 years across hundreds of businesses in over 100 niches. People research, they compare, they ask follow-up questions, they move between Google, Reddit, and YouTube, and these AI tools before they act these days. Keyword research tools, well, they miss this context and the real problems driving demand to your brand. For the first time in human history, we've got these search systems that copy and mimic human behavior. If you think about the last time you made any major decision, could be buying a car, could be choosing some software for your business. For me, it was buying a skateboard. So 10 years ago, we're gonna cast our mind back to what it looked like. 2016, you would just type buy a skateboard. The first result looked pretty good. Okay, cool, let's buy it. You pull out your credit card, great, done. Now when I need a new skateboard, looks a little bit more like this.
I've read about 30 different Reddit threads. I've put up a whole AI comparison table between Evolve and X-Way and a bunch of these different electric skateboards based on my height and my weight. And I'm about to build a spreadsheet comparing them all. So yeah.
So when are you actually gonna buy a skateboard?
Probably Black Friday.
AI knows this behavior and it copies it when you ask it a question. It's looking for authority in your topic to mimic this same behavior and give users the end results of those Reddit threads, those YouTube videos, and 11 different keyword searches that it does, which by the way, we call a fan out query, checking for contradictions and looking at a ton of different websites. All of this just to give you an answer and with citations to back it up. In the past, the search journey followed this straight path of keywords. Now it takes the form of topical authority. In this new B2B and B2C loop, people use AI to instantly compare alternatives and summarize the pros and cons across the entire web before they even go to your website. So first of all, we need to understand what is topical authority. And to do this, it's gonna help if you forget everything you know about keywords being about density or repeating themselves multiple times on a page. Ranking in AI and SEO now comes from being the definitive source for a topic, backed by authority and proof. That is what topical authority is. So let's look at how we can implement topical authority. And I have a great 3-step process for this. The first is to identify topics, not keywords. Again, stop asking or thinking, what keyword should I rank for? And start thinking, what problems does my brand solve? What topics are we an expert for? You can go to Google and search for your core topic. And you can look at people also ask, which is this nifty section at the bottom. These are all subtopics of what you're trying to rank for. And they take the form of questions and different pain points. Because people don't just look for project management software, they look for workflow bottlenecks or time tracking software for remote teams. We recently worked with this fintech client, right? And they were obsessed with ranking for best credit cards. Makes sense. It's probably worth a fortune to them. They spent 50 grand on new content and saw 0 movement. Why? Well, because that content was just salesy. It didn't position them as a financial authority. Instead of using classic keyword research tools, we went to Reddit. And we found that instead of people searching for cards, people were expressing concerns about hidden international transaction fees. So we used that in our content, talking about how we don't have any hidden international transaction fees or any hidden fees. The lesson here was that by addressing the actual human pain, the best credit card rankings naturally skyrocketed because we were solving that pain point. The second step is a relationship test. And this is the step that most people skip because they assume relevance is broad. It is not. Please do this. The key is to actually see how Google sees your niche. So do me a favor, open 2 tabs. The first tab, you're gonna search for your broad category. For instance, mine's digital marketing. And in the second tab, you're gonna search for a specific problem. So it could be SEO, could be attribution for B2B. Now compare the results of those 2 tabs. If the top ranking sites change completely, Google sees these as 2 completely distinct topics. So being an authority on marketing does not give you some kind of free pass to rank for attribution. Google's treating them as separate clusters of topics. If you want to own both, you can't just mention them on the same page anymore. You have to prove independent expertise in them. Something that helped me understand this idea of expertise versus generalization was when I broke my foot a couple months ago snowboarding. So obviously I started with the GP, they looked at the x-ray and they sent me to emergency. They both gave me this same face value advice of don't walk, but I was kind of stitched up because I had this 6-week trip to America booked 2 days later, and I was doing a ton of speaking, meeting a ton of people, visiting our US business. I wasn't gonna just cancel my whole life based on the generalist opinion. So I waited to see the orthopedic surgeon. Why? Because at that moment, that surgeon was the person with the topical authority, with that specific authority that I trusted. If not, well, looks like it was gonna be 2 months of Dota 2 and Counter-Strike. Google mimics this same process. And that's why StudioHawk ranks so well for all our SEO terms, because we talk in depth about the topic of SEO, we contribute research pieces and white papers. The lesson here is that Google's AI is that specialized surgeon. It does not care if you're a generalist in your field anymore. When a user has a specific high stakes problem, that algorithm is going to bypass the general sites and surface sites with that very specialized authority. So if you haven't built that specific relationship between your brand and the subtopic, well, you're just not going to rank. So the third step is building that topical map to cover everything off and bring it all together. So once you know those topics that Google recognizes, you can deploy them on something called a content hub. Now, a content hub is some deep dive pillar resource per topic that proves you understand the nuances. Could be a page, like we've got an AI SEO page that does this. It could be a blog post, it could be a variety of different things. And then what you're gonna wanna do is build internal links. So connecting those pages based on that logic. So linking a core topic for us like marketing into SEO to show the AI how your knowledge is structured. I call this the bridge strategy. One of our billion-dollar clients is in the medical lab equipment space, and they are without a doubt an absolute authority in their niche, but their website was just buried in PDFs and super heavy technical research content. When AI overviews rolled out, their visibility got absolutely nuked. And although they appeared in the training data, the information was just too dense and technical, and it made it difficult for AI to cite them. That content was so highly regulated and was too technical to rewrite, so we didn't touch the copy. Instead, we just made small structural changes. We built that bridge between them, their content and the AI. We added clearer headings, simplified the schema, added reviewer tags to verify that authority. And guess what? Within 2 months, their visibility jumped 33% year on year. Keywords in the top 3 increased by 140%, and their SERP features skyrocketed over 1700%. We finally built the bridge so that AI could actually understand the information. So all you need to do is make your expertise easier for an AI to understand with your content. You just gotta keep it super simple. SEO is still very much the foundation, and AI search is just a new layer on top of it. You've got to stop chasing keywords and start building authority. The reality of 2026 is that SEO has shifted from a game of keyword targeting to a game of building topical authority. AI platforms like ChatGPT and Google AI Mode just aren't scanning for keyword volume or difficulty or exact matches. They're scanning the entire web to see who is consistently mentioned as the source of authority for a topic. So just simply leveling up the credibility and the structure of your own content, you're going to win more searches than your competitors. If you want the SEO playbook for 2026, subscribe before your competition does. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something.